Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing a base model 2-door Ford Bronco Sasquatch with a hardtop and a manual transmission. And guess what? This Bronco happens to be available for sale for the time being. So if you're interested, I'll include a link to the Larry H. Miller Super Fords inventory in the description down below that is providing me with this Bronco. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering this Bronco is a turbocharged 2.3 liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 7-speed manual transmission. Fuel economy 16 around town and then 18 on the highway, with power outputs being 300 horsepower and then 325 pound-feet of torque. Now before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, it's just the normal Bronco hood. You guys can see it's kind of raised as you go up, and then you've got the mirrors that are fixed on the bodywork. Really cool LED lights here up front, and then notice how the Bronco logo has been blacked out. And then you guys can see this one has the upgraded bumper. We've got the recovery points here on the front end, and then we also have skid plate protection underneath. Putting it all together, even though this is a quote-unquote base model, it looks pretty cool. Camera on the side here, tire wheel setup is 315, 70, 17 in the front and over in the rear as well. You guys can see with the wheels, bead lock capable, and I like how they're blacked out in the center. And yeah, 35s, that's the big thing about the Sasquatch. The other big thing is the shocks. This has the Bilstein position sensitive shocks, as you can see, and then independent front suspension. We also, of course, have the Sasquatch decal here on the side. And you guys can see the door handles match the fender flares here. And then here's your full side view, especially with the white paint on this particular one. It just has like a classic look to it. I really like it. So here's our key fob. We have our unlock function or lock function, the Bronco logo there on the back. So pretty simple. And then popping inside, you guys can see with the multiple compression points. Pretty cool with how all of that opens. And then we got the window as well. Now with the 2-door, you do have limited space behind the second row, right? But I mean, it still is pretty practical for what it is. Got a little bit more storage underneath. And then it's cool to see the roll cage here painted in white. And then of course, window first as always, and then doors second. Pretty easy to close even though it has a 35. You've got the baseline taillights here because it's the base recovery point here on the back end. And then you can see the spare 35 here on the rear as well. Now we've got those Bilstein position sensitive shocks here in the rear, and then we have a solid rear axle. And then putting it all together, I really like the looks of this. Let me know what you guys think about this base Sasquatch. Now taking a look at the door panel, you can see the gray trim here, and then the padding down below also finished in gray. Got little net storage here on the side, and then let's look at the mirror. Now getting into the back's pretty easy. You just pull this, and then that lets you pull the seat forward. And then the little bar there on the front of the seat lets you pull it all the way forward. And then before I pop in the back, I do want to mention payload, 943 pounds. So here's our legroom in the back of the base Bronco. It's actually pretty good, even though this is a 2-door vehicle. Got some amenities like cup holders back here, and that's cool with the windows. Makes it so it's like really open here in the back. And then you just have the cloth seats here in the rear for those of you that are wondering. Now taking a look at the seat, you guys can see how it's dark there in the center, and then you got the lighter cloth on the outside, and then manually adjustable for the seat itself. Of course, we got the 3-pedal layouts down below. And you got the parking brake right here with the light control, and then you got the grab handle. So here is the steering wheel. You guys can see that, again, pretty basic with material use, but that would be easy to clean right. We've got the controls for the center stack. This does come with cruise control. You got your volume controls as well, and then the regular stock there on the back. And then here is the center gauge cluster. You guys can see you've got the analog gauge for the speedo on the one side, and then we've got this little screen here in the center, which we can use to scroll through a bunch of different menus here. Got, of course, the off-road status, which is always fun. And then we actually do have GOAT modes with the base model, which is pretty cool. So we've got a normal, eco, sport, slippery, and then we have a sand mode that we can go into. And being a Sasquatch means that we have front and rear lockers, as well as the stability control button up here in the hazard lights, but front and rear lockers, guys. Now in reverse, we do have trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and resolution's pretty solid. We also have that zoom function with the camera as well. And then as for the rest of the screen, response time with this is actually really solid, as you can see. It's Ford's small unit for the Bronco, but I mean, it's all you need, right? Analog controls for the radio and for the climate, single zone climate, for those of you that are wondering. And then got a little charging port. Got a drive line select. So yes, this does have 2-wheel high as well as 4-wheel low, 4-wheel high, 4-wheel auto, hill descent control on top of that. And then we got Ford's fancy manual transmission here for the Bronco. So around town it functions like a normal 6-speed with the H pattern. And then you pull up and over for reverse. And then you pull up and then down. And then that puts you into the crawl gear. That's the 7th gear, is crawl. Got a couple cup holders right here, and then you guys can see the window controls in the center. They are automatic. And then you got your mirror adjustments, and then center console. And then Bronco there, which is pretty cool. And then you can see the glove box as well. And then up top we do have all of the auxiliary switches, all 6 of them, which is pretty cool. And then you got the hard top. This one also has the insulation, as you can see. So, 2023 Ford Bronco base, manual transmission, Sasquatch package, $7,340, but it gives you, obviously, the upgraded axle ratio with the locking differentials, the tires, all that kind of stuff. But anyways, after all options, this one's stickers for $45,445. Let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility of the hood, both of the mirrors, throughout the rest of the rear. And, well, I gotta do the parking brake. Manual transmission away. This is, in my opinion, the coolest Bronco that I've ever reviewed on the channel. Yes, that is correct. I am saying this is cooler than a Bronco Raptor. And that's because this is obviously insanely capable when it comes to off-road performance. And it's actually attainable for the average Joe. I know some people are gonna say $45,000 is a lot of money. The average brand new car, as of right now, is almost $49,000. So this is $3,000 less for the MSRP price compared to the average brand new vehicle. AKA, it's affordable. Now this manual transmission, I'm a huge fan of it. It's really easy to use. And I've actually got to scoot back a little bit. There we go. I guess I'm a little bit taller than I thought. But on top of that, yeah, it's just great for daily driving. Again, having that integrated crawl gear outside of the regular H pattern, I don't think everyone understands like how much of a game changer that is, because again, I have a usable first gear and I can just drive this around just like any other manual transmission. Now, something I'm noticing is, so this has obviously a 4.7 axle ratio with the Sasquatch. For some reason, it seems like the engine's more blippable with the, I don't know how axle ratio could affect that, but it seems like it's easier for me to rev match this, which is weird. Man, I love how this drives. I know how I said, you know how I said this was available for sale at the beginning of the video? I think by the end of this review, it might no longer be available for sale because I kind of want to buy this. Oh my gosh, it's such a blast to drive. And, I mean, off-road, I can only imagine. Let's see how the Bilstein shocks perform over the train tracks. That's fun. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, this just drives so well. Yeah, the rev matching on this is absolutely wonderful, honestly. And being the two-door, it's so tiny. It's got this like lightweight tossable feel. It's got freaking 35s on it. Yeah, I am. Oh no, it's just the wind noise. I'm like, it's like kind of like this. It almost sounds like static, but no, it's just the wind noise. I'm really enjoying this. Like, I think out of all the Broncos that I've reviewed over the, since this new Bronco's released, I think this one's been the most fun to drive on road. And I think the Sasquatch package actually helps out, because I drove that base model the other week that didn't have a Sasquatch. I think the Sasquatch kind of, even though it's not as good with the road manners, right, because you got bigger tires, all that kind of stuff, for some reason, maybe it's the shocks, this just feels like more fun. And also I think the axle ratio helps out too. It has more of a punch right off the bat. Well, I guess we'll get our official acceleration here if the Chevy goes fast enough. It's got you have got a bit of turbo lag with this 2.3, and so it's kind of like it's this fun. It almost feels like in old school, like boosted, like, you know what I'm talking about, like the old school, like boosted sports cars. That's kind of how this drives with the manual and the aggressive axle ratio. So to wrap things up, I said earlier in the video, I'll say it again, out of all the Broncos that I've tested, I think this one, outside of I still do like the Bronco Raptor because of how insanely capable that is off-road. But I don't know, this is in a lot of ways, this is more appealing to me. Because like, the thing that I think about with this is like a Bronco Raptor is like over $90,000 now, I think, like loaded up. And this is obviously a base model. So like $50,000, you could buy this and you could buy a really cool sports car and still be like less than a Bronco Raptor. But let me know what you guys think about this base Bronco with a manual transmission. But I think I found the Bronco sweet spot. And like I said, if I don't decide to go crazy and put myself in a position where my wife will probably divorce me, this one is still available for sale for the time being.